Mark Rogers, TV, joining you about 17 picks deep into the first round of the NFL draft. We bring in Jeff Greenberg from inside the ACC to talk about pick number 2. And Jeff, of course, I wanted to talk to you tonight, but I expected to be speaking with you a little bit later in the evening. There was at one point a thought that Mitchell Trubisky, my apologies, would be barely a first rounder. And then he has certainly climbed and climbed and climbed. And then we thought maybe the Cleveland Browns would take him at 12. And then we thought the Browns would need to possibly push into the top 10 to get him. And then, wow, the blockbuster deal between Chicago and San Francisco. And the Bears must really think he is the answer to go up to number 2 to grab him.
Yeah, I think, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes. It's such a roller coaster, not just this whole time from the minute they declare, but even in the last 48 hours, you had, Todd McShay putting him at number 1. You had Schefter at number 1, which just seemed crazy because we were thinking along the lines of what you just mentioned. You might see him go at 12. You might see them trade up maybe to 6, 7, or 8 to get him. And then, when around 2 o'clock today, I think the dust started settling that Cleveland would indeed take Garrett from Texas A&M, which made a lot of sense for him. So then you're going back to that scenario of thinking where they might go. And then I tell you, I was sitting with someone in the minute they said the trade went through for Chicago to jump over San Francisco. I looked at my friend and said, they're going for Trubisky. And if you watch the draft, the analysts the whole time thought instantly they were going to go defense, defense, defense. There was just something I was thinking about, and I said, I think they're going for Trubisky, and they did. And it says a lot for him that they traded up to get him. If teams are going to make that leap and give up a decent amount with the 3rd and 4th round picks, it says a lot of what they thought about him. And I tell you what, in every single evaluation I've seen of him, it's all the things you want in a quarterback. Is he smart? Is he smart with the ball? Is he a good teammate? Can he make all the throws? Is he mobile? Can he do everything you want to do? And then the couple of questions you really want to know, does he love football? Does he love putting in the work for football? And he checked all those boxes. When the only thing they can come back at you and say is you've only started 13 games, I don't really see that as a flaw, as opposed to something like, well, he can't make this throw. He's not good in the pocket. He doesn't read this well. You didn't see any of that in his evaluations, and I think that's why you saw a team like Chicago jump up and get him. And he really is going to a great situation.
I think that there's just so much time between the end of the football season in college and the draft for scouts and novices alike, and with the internet now, for these players just to be picked apart. And they all have holes in their game. There are guys succeeding in the NFL that have holes in their game. No player is perfect. So we can find holes in everyone's game, and especially it's easy to find at quarterback. He did just play the 13 games. North Carolina went 8-5, but his production was through the roof. And we tend to also fault these teams for reaching for a quarterback, but it's such a quarterback-driven league, and I know that's cliche, but it's the truth, that you need to have that guy, so you can't let them pass by. And if you're looking for the perfect guy, you're going to have to wait every generation to find one, possibly. And so it appears as though he's got as good a chance as anybody else to succeed.
Absolutely. And the reason I said the situation was good for him and good for the Bears is he's not supposed to go in there and start in the first game this year. They had a big offseason signing I think a month or so ago, with Mike Glennon coming in, a veteran quarterback. And obviously they had a plan now. And when you look at Glennon's contract, it makes a lot of sense that he will be the one that starts. Trubisky will have that chance to get his feet wet, learn behind a veteran, and ease into the position as opposed to being thrown into the fire. I think that's good for the Bears. I think it's good for Trubisky. It's really good for any rookie quarterback if you think about it. There's only certain rookie quarterbacks over the last few years that have been able to go into a tough situation, which, quite honestly, we know Cleveland would have been a tough situation for him to go right in and start, as opposed to getting to learn a little bit and ease into the position. And for those people that were worried about his 13 games, well, he essentially gets that NFL redshirt season now to help learn the differences between what he knows now and what he needs to know in the defense or in the NFL. And I tell you, the one thing I noticed this year, and I've sat in on a couple quarterback meetings, I've seen him in practice during the season, and then I watched him as he stayed around the program during the spring as well. It's just the way his mind works. It's constantly, one, wanting to learn, but two, wanting to teach the guys that were below him. And what it shows you is that he's got a mind for football. He's a smart kid and really just knows the effort he has to put in to be better. And when you reach certain level like this, you have a tendency maybe to get complacent and just be happy with where you are. He's one of those guys that is nowhere near that. He wants to get to the NFL because, to your point exactly, no one's perfect when they get to the NFL. There are guys that are good in the NFL that still aren't perfect. All he knows he wants to do is work hard to try and get to be as good as he can be for his team. And I think the Bears are going to see that they're getting someone that they don't have to worry about, meaning what's he going to be like in meetings? What's he going to be like work ethic wise? And does he have the goods? And he does. And the sky's the limit for him. The way he works, he can get better and better. And I think Chicago is a great fit for him because of the situation they have right now.
Hey, Jeff, NFL passing offenses usually take a shot downfield 2 to 5 times a game, something in that range, but it's more the threat. So while most offenses only take that shot roughly 2 to 5 times, what allows a lot of things to open up underneath is the threat of the quarterback being both having the arm strength to get it downfield and also being accurate in downfield throws. And that was one of the knocks we saw, the tape that was shown following the selection of Trubisky to Chicago was the deep throw not being as accurate consistently as it needs to be. Is that something that you noticed throughout the season?
Well, there's one flaw if you wanted to think about at the beginning of the season, you could say it was his long ball. But if you notice, if you go back and look at that film that they showed, those were games early in the season. As the season went on, his long ball got better and better and better. In fact, the first set of clips they showed after he got picked, the long balls against NC State and the Citadel and other schools, those were all at the end of the season. So you already saw even from game one to the end of the season, he made adjustments on his long ball. The stats you, or the clips you saw that didn't look as great were the first couple games of the season. So even there, he made a lot of improvement in that part of his game during the season. And part of what got him there was his decision making. So the reason he does well is he's not just accurate. And Larry Fedora said he is the most accurate quarterback he's seen in 30 years of coaching, which says a lot because of his work with quarterbacks. But he knows where to go with the ball. And when you know where to go with it and you're accurate, it makes it for a pretty good combination. But in terms of the long ball, I thought that was interesting, the way they did those clips. If you would have flipped them around, you would have showed the progression over the year with his long ball, which I think he showed in his pro day. And again, I don't think that's something that's going to hamper him because he knows more than anybody else what he needs to work on. And I just found it interesting, those clips, because the bad balls were at the beginning of the year, the great balls were at the end.
The Chicago Bears haven't produced a Pro Bowl quarterback since Jim McMahon in the mid-'80s. Mitchell Trubisky will need to at least get to a Pro Bowl, and that's certainly not the mark of success in the NFL, but it's an indication at least to be able to achieve that level to justify the second selection in the NFL draft. Mitchell Trubisky goes to the Chicago Bears. Jeff Greenberg from inside the ACC helping us break it down. Jeff, we always appreciate the time.
Thanks, Bart.